Hey, what's up everyone? mattMONTANEZ here. Today I'm going to talk to you about my favorite tape emulation plugin, and that is Wave's J37 tape emulation plugin. It sounds beautiful, it has a great color, great characteristics. I love it. I think it's my favorite sounding tape emulation plugin, and I've tried many different emulations. I used to use like the Kramer tape, I've used the UAD stuff. I think T-Rex has like some kind of tape emulation in their Saturation X, and a couple others, but this one is by far my favorite one. I just love what it does, and to me this one's the simplest to use and has the most versatility for how simple it is. So I'm going to dive in and show you guys on how I use it and how to use it in your process. Before we get started, I'm going to talk about the song real quick, of course, and this is by an artist, The Dark Notice, and he just released this song. It's called Confused, and it's out on Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, SoundCloud, everywhere. He sent this to me after he recorded himself and sent it to me to do the mixing and stuff, so I did that, and it's a cool little jam, very cool to vibe out to. He's singing, got a little bit of auto-tune effect going, we got harmonies going with my favorite plugin of all time, well, one of my favorite plugins of all time, you guys guessed it, that little altar boy by Soundtoys. So I got stuff going on with that bad boy here. Added some other harmonies down here, as you can see, with my favorite guy, little altar boy. And then got a couple other little effects going, delays and stuff, and it's a cool little jam. So I'm gonna play a little bit of it with the let's see, the tape emulation plugin on, so you guys can hear it. Let me move it over, and I'm actually going to close out these mastering guys because they don't need to be part of this whole chain to hear the characteristics for this plugin, so that's all going to be bypassed. And let's just move this over. I know I can't decide which side I want to have the plugin on, so I'm gonna keep it on the left side.
I wanna make sure that I could grab it and give it a whirl. You are my girl, you just know how it is, you know how it is.
So you see it got a smooth like R&B sound. I went more a little old school sounding with it, but kept, you know, the auto-tune sound going too to keep it more modern, or at least what everybody's kind of doing now. So that was my whole goal when mixing it. But this plugin here, it's like it gave me the right color and characteristics I want to do because of the way it works. So first off, you got your level section, and that has your input and your output. And then you got this section here, which is your formula. Then you got your speed, bias, and then you got a delay section. And the delay section works with this section here as well. Then you got your VU meters, which just shows in and out. You also has modeled tracks, and then the wall flutter, noise, and saturation, which is all like modulation stuff here. When you first come into this plugin, you want to mess with your input knob. And I like to unlink the level. When you first open it, it comes linked, but I unlink it, and that's so I could mess with the input individually, or else it's going to move both of these at the same time. So right now I'm at 3.6. So with them linked, it'll move them both. If I unlink it, then you just move one at a time. Let's put that back. So I like to leave it unlinked, and that's because when I brought it in, you want to put your tape emulation in here, and it should, let me move this over a little bit, it should be last in your chain, your master bus chain. The tape emulation, I feel, should be last right before like your limiter and your brick wall limiter and things like that. Basically, I have like my master chain, you know, comp, a little EQ, and then I throw the tape emulation, and then I have my brick wall limiter. These two is just adding a little extra verb and stuff, which I felt it was necessary after this plugin. But usually I keep this one right before like my limiter. So you want to put your tape emulation plugin like right at the end of your chain. With your tape emulation plugins, you always want them to bounce around roughly from like -3 and 0. And that's like more of a sweet spot. Once you pass this 0, then you're getting extra distortion in there. And you kind of don't want that because you can always add the saturation here. In your settings here, different settings would add like more of a color and saturation. So you kind of don't want to pass that 0 point. Unless it does sound good, you know, then go for it. You know, feel free to pass it as long as it sounds good. So I pulled it back down to -3.6, and I made sure it bounced around 0.
I want to make sure that I could grab it.
And so I liked it. I liked what it was doing, and it sounded great. And then I made up some of that gain here, but I only went 3.3. When I went past that, it was too much for my ear, so I just brought it down just a hair. From there, I like to choose the formula, and you got these three formulas. You got 888, 811, and 815, and those three all sound slightly different, okay? Slightly different. I'm not gonna say they all sound the same, they all sound slightly different. So to get into these, you got 888, 811, 815. They're all just different emulations of this tape machine, or should I say the different years of this tape machine, because this tape machine was very popular in the early 60s, then the mid to late 60s, and then the early 70s. That was the emulation of this tape machine. And the 888 was the first one in the early 60s, so it gives you more of a lo-fi, like a grainy sound, dirty sound. And then you got your 811, which is slightly cleaner than the 888, and that's like the late 60s model. And then you got the 815, which is the early 70s model, and that's the cleanest sound of them all. For this song, I like the 888 and what it was doing. So I went with that. And let me play it, and I'm gonna just toggle between the three so you can hear it. But before I do that, actually, I'm going to switch this to 7.5 IPS, which is inches per second, or people pronounce it as IPS. Let me explain. 7.5 IPS, what that is it's going slower. The tape speed is going slower, so you're getting more of the tape sound, the color. When you go 15, it's moving faster, so you're getting a little less of it, so it's a little cleaner. So I'm gonna go slower just so when I toggle, you can actually hear the tape sound.
I wanna make sure that I could grab it and get a whirl. You are my girl, you just know how it is, you know how it is. I wanna make sure that I could grab it and get a whirl. You are my girl, you just know how it is, you know how it is.
So you can already hear the 811 when I toggle to it from the 888. It was more clear, like it gives you more highs as the thing. So you'll hear more highs, it's a little brighter overall. And I'll toggle it one more time.
I wanna make sure that I could grab it and get a whirl. You are my girl, you just know how.
And it's very subtle, but you can hear the change. Now let's toggle between the 888 and the 815.
I wanna make sure that I could grab it and get a whirl. You are my girl, you just know how it is, you know how it is.
And for that one, between the 888 and the 815, it's similar, where you can hear that it's clearer, more highs and stuff, because that one, like I said, it's the cleanest response, so it's more flat than all of them, the frequencies, so it's the cleanest. The 811 is a little darker than the 815, and the 888, like I said, it's the darkest one, the most lo-fi, but it does have a certain kind of boost between like 1 and 8K, I'm gonna say, and that gives it like a grainy sound, like I said, more of distortion, dirty sound when you incorporate over here the 7.5. So now I'm going to talk between the 7.5 and the 15, and let's see if you can hear that, how it should be a little cleaner than usual.
I want to make sure that I could grab it and get a whirl. You are my girl, you just know how it is, you know how it is. I want to make sure that I could grab it and get a whirl.
So yeah, that's what that's doing there. It gives it a little cleaner. And if you notice, the bias will kick off when you go to the 7.5. So for the 888 and the 811, the bias will kick off where you can only choose nom. And if you go to 815, you can actually go +3, +5. And in 15 IPS, you can actually choose it for all of them. So the bias will stay on for all of them, except in 7.5 IPS, it's going to only come on for the 815 model. Let's get to the bias and explain what the bias is. So you got nom, you got +3 and +5, and it's like, okay, well, what is bias? What the bias is, basically, you get your 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz, and the bias goes above that. So it boosts above the 20K. So it's usually like 40K and up, and it boosts all that to give you more highs, so it makes it brighter. And that's what that does. A lot of it's inaudible frequencies, but that's what it does, and it gives it some character, some color, and blah, blah, blah. That's pretty much it. Let's see if we can hear that. I'm gonna go in 7.5, and let's mess with the 815.
I wanna make sure that I could grab it and get a whirl. You are my girl, you just know how it is, you know how it is.
I mean, it's super subtle, where honestly, I can't really hear it in these earbuds, but I'm sure if I had some monitors going, then I'd probably hear it. Right now, it's so subtle, I can't really hear it in these earbuds. So I'm gonna go back to my settings. I had 888, 815, and then I had +5. The reason why I went with these settings, like I said, is that 888 is so dirty, lo-fi, grainy, that I wanted a little less than that. So I went with 15 IPS, just so it's a little less colored. And then I went with +5 to give it a little brighter sound, which I heard on my better headphones really well, and it sounded great for the song. So that's where I went. Now we got our delay section. Our delay section is cool. You got a link button, so you can actually link the left and right knobs, and you got a sync button. And when you click the time, you can actually switch the timing of it. And as you can tell, with link on, it'll switch both of them together. But with link off, you can switch one at a time. So you can do like a ping pong slap back type of deal there too. That's really cool to mess with, especially when you do like vocal effects and things. And then that works together with this, where you can have it set to slap back, or you can click feedback and it'll switch from levels in decibels to percentages. Then you can also switch it to be a ping pong effect, which is really, really cool. So you got that also. Then you got it a mode where you can put it for your insert if you're going directly on the channel, or you can have your send. So, you know, if you're sending it with an auxiliary and all that. Cool stuff to see there. And it has really cool effects. I really like what they do. Let's do one right now on the master bus. So I'm gonna click here, load, and I really like this effect here. Where are you at? Low pass filter.
I wanna make sure that I could grab it, get away.
So it sounds like an old school AM radio type of deal, and you can see the delay switches, so you actually get a little latency in the right ear, so it's kind of cool.
I wanna make sure that I could grab it.
So just because you have that 20 milliseconds or 19 milliseconds difference, you hear the and it's like it stereoized it kind of deal. It's pretty tight. So let's put this back to my settings. And then you have your low pass and high pass filter. So it's like just a quick EQ to roll off some highs, roll off some lows. Over here, now in this section, we got modeled tracks. And this one's a little funny to explain. So I'm gonna do my best. So modeled tracks, you got your 2-track, you got the 3-track, and then you got a 2+3. From my understanding is the 2+3, what that does is it kind of makes it wider, so it processes the left side and the right side differently. It's like when you pull up a multi-mono track. If I came here and select multi-mono on the EQ, and let's just get the stock EQ. Now on my EQ, I can actually unlink, and I can actually EQ the left and right side different. So if I just do this on the left side here, so if I actually just click play now and only the left side is EQ'd.
I wanna make sure that I could grab it and get away. You are my girl.
Like that's what's going on. It's processing the two sides differently. So that's what the 2+3 thing is doing. Because if I went to multi-channel, for example, and did like a regular EQ again, then it won't let me unlink it. And no matter what, both sides are going to be EQ'd the same.
I wanna make
In the J37, like I said, from my understanding, the 2+3 actually processes the sides differently. So it's supposed to make it slightly sound wider. So if there's more energy in the left ear, that's going to, you know, hit a little harder in the plugin. If there's a little more energy in the right ear, it's going to hit a little harder in the right ear. So it will process separately. And that's why, for example, when I throw in my SSL compressor, I always throw it up in multi-mono. So I can actually either compress both sides differently, but I like to link it and have them the settings exactly the same, but it will process separately. And that's what that does. So it's really cool to do.
I wanna make
And then you got your 2 and 3. And from my understanding, what those does is they process exactly the same. And that's pretty much it. So it's supposed to give you like slightly narrower sound. But yeah, I can't hear the difference yet between 2 and 3. To me, they sound just about the same. So I either use 2 or I go into 2+3.
I wanna make sure that I could grab it and get away. You are my girl. You just know how it is. You know how it is.
So So for this song specifically, I really liked what 2 was doing. It made everything sound full in the center, and that's what I wanted.
I wanna make sure that I could grab it and get a whirl. You are my girl, you just know how it is, you know how it is. I wanna make sure that I could grab it, get a
Very, very cool stuff. Now we got our modulation section, which you got your wow, you got your flutter, noise level, and saturation. What your wow is doing, your wow is basically doing like for your tape machine, the way the speed works, it's giving like a little bit irregularities in the speed because you know it's a machine, kind of moves around and stuff. So you know as they wear and tear a little bit, then it doesn't stay perfect. So that's what that's doing. So it's kind of like adding a little wear and tear to your machine.
I wanna make sure that I could grab it and get a whirl. You are my girl, you just.
And you can get some cool effects with it, or you can actually make it sound a lot more old school, which is cool. And then you got your flutter, which is the way the tape moves across the tape heads. So in this section here,
I wanna make sure that I could grab it and get a whirl. You are my girl, you just.
so it's almost like warping the tape a little bit, or you know the tape heads, the machine a little bit. And that's like when you do the vinyl, how you warp the vinyl, make the crackles and stuff. That's pretty much what these are doing. Same kind of deal as like a vinyl plugin where you're warping the vinyl. And it's really cool. Like I said, you can get some real cool effects there. And then you got your noise, which is just noise of the tape machine. As you can hear, it almost sounds like an AC unit or something with that shh. So yeah, you got that. I always keep that pretty much off. I rarely use noise. If I do, I just put it to 0. It'll stay at 0 or off. And then you got your saturation. On this one, I left it at 0, but it's pretty much just adding more distortion, harmonic distortion.
I wanna make sure that I could grab it and get a whirl. You are my girl.
And if I use that, I usually go anywhere from 3 and below. I don't ever go past 3. To me, it just sounds too much. And if I wanted more distortion, I kind of just bump up the input, and it sounds really cool. That's this plugin, guys. It's the J37 by Waves. It sounds incredible. I love it. It's my favorite tape emulation plugin. Like I said, as soon as you slap it on, you can hear it sounds like magic. Try it out on your mixes, and I hope you guys really enjoy it. All right, everyone. Hope this video helped you. And as always, don't forget, like, subscribe, and share. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop me a comment below. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Keep creating music.